Thank you for joining us, and happy to see that you're back in the United States safely. I understand that you were in Kandahar in southern Afghanistan, that you were able to leave with the Afghan military as they were throwing down their weapons effectively on a cargo plane out of the city. What was that like?
So in the end, our experience in Kandahar was a problem because we got caught there. We got stranded. When we flew in on a commercial flight, the expectation.
Bro, Iraq have like 60% majority Shia. First of all, Iraq at the time was literally fucking led by Saddam. Are you insane? Iran and Iraq were not fucking allies, dude. That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of the point, dude.
Was it'd take a few weeks, even when the fighting started to really get serious, we'd be able to kind of get out.
I'm not trying to argue, man. I never said they were allies, and I get what you're saying, but you don't also seem to demonstrate a great understanding by saying Saddam in power, so what? Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course I'm going to say Saddam was in power, so what? What, you think there was a fucking reason for invading Iraq? Are you delusional? Are you one of like the fucking 10 Americans remaining that still thinks that the Iraq war was a justifiable one? Are you out of your fucking mind? What the fuck did they have to do with 9/11? Literally nothing. I don't think Iraq is majority Shia, by the way, but there is a massive Shia population there, which is literally the reason why Iran is very interested in Iraq as well. But they were never allies, and they are not allies. They've been in conflict forever. I want to hear from that guy who said like Saddam was in Iraq. Like, I want to understand like what the reasoning for that is. Iraq is Sunni majority. That's why ISIS had so many recruits against the Shia minority government we installed. Yeah, the majority of the population in Iraq is Shia Arabs, Sunni Arabs following close behind alongside Kurds, 3 million Turkmen, and 0.5, like 500,000 Assyrians and Armenians, 1 million Afro-Iraqis, 500,000 Yazidis, and 250,000 Shabaks in Iraq. 40 million population. Most of the population at the 15 million is Shia Arabs now. Anyway, let's keep going.
What we didn't expect and we didn't foresee was that these soldiers would just so quickly give up the city. When it did happen, the airlines all shut down flights. The UN evacuation flights also shut down. Everything was shutting down. And when that was happening, we started to kind of worry what we were going to do. By the end, we found ourselves with one of the most elite units in the country called the 03 unit. They are CIA trained, American funded. These guys spent 20 years becoming the go.
Okay, dude. Vice is literally fucking CIA. I'm sorry. Like, dog, really? Really? I mean, Brace, I'm fucking, fuck it, dude. I'm leaking it. Brace and I talked about this as well. Because he's saying a fact. I mean, dude, literally just Google 03 unit, dude. Just fucking Google it. Like I just did. Just Google it, dude. Abusive night raids by CIA-backed Afghan strike forces. Human Rights Watch. Like, come on, dude. Wait, maybe he'll mention it.
Go-to military force that America relies upon in their stead. The U.S. never lets access to them, but in this case, it was so desperate that we just kind of found ourselves with them and protected with them. They were the ones preparing for what was going to be the last stand against the Taliban. They set up a front position right next to the airport, surrounded the area, kind of made a perimeter. And they said, this is it, we only have about 1,000 soldiers. The Taliban probably has a couple thousand, but we're going to fight all night. We're going to do everything we can. And we were getting ready for what was going to be one of the most harrowing, hairy nights of our lives. And just when the sun was...
Reading headlines, the best way to get the full story. I mean, dude, I do know more of the story. Do you want to fucking read the harrowing details of the 03 unit's fucking war crimes from the Human Rights Watch? I mean, if you're fucking talking 02 units without mentioning like the CIA training that they got and the actions that they engaged in, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Podcast is called Fear and Malding, by the way. It was Afghanistan's CIA strike force.
Was about to go down. They announced that they had come to a truce, and the military commanders up top and the higher up in the military had decided to stand down, have their soldiers put down their weapons, give up all of their heavy gear, their Humvees, their artillery, all of their bigger weapons. They literally just left the cars running and went to the airfield, and the Taliban agreed to give a truce and let these planes fly in and fly everyone out. So in the middle of the night, at about 2 a.m., 6 carrier planes filled with just hundreds of military soldiers each. It was just a really intense scene of hundreds of people kind of packing in and trying to climb onto these. You see them now happening in Kabul, but then it was surprising to see these military units, basically like fighting for their lives to get out of there. And it was a really harrowing scene. Seeing in the distance, we could see the shots in the air of tracers, which were the Taliban shooting in the air and celebrating. And we could get the sense that, this was a bittersweet moment, because although they didn't have to fight and lose their lives, this was how the war was kind of faring for them, which is they were losing.
I think the story that people in Washington might be trying to tell is that the Afghan military forces had the resources they need, they just lacked the will to fight. From what you've seen and how it went down, what do you make of that?
I think it's an oversimplification. And we spent a lot of time on the front line with the fighters in Kandahar, and they were exhausted. So they were outgunned, they were underfed, they were undersupplied, and they just were exhausted by it all. So this idea that they didn't have the gumption, they didn't have the ability or the will to get into the fight, it's not true. And it's disrespectful of these people that were really fighting. And when the dominoes started falling and these people were all handing it over, the bigger reality is the soldiers that did want to fight didn't have the support. Thousands of Taliban guys compared to just a few hundred willing soldiers is not a fair fight.
I'm wondering what you're hearing about people on the ground that you have been in contact with who might be trying to get out, who are fearful of what a Taliban regime might entail in the near and the future, and what's going on.
Yeah, people that keep saying the Afghans were just not interested in fighting kind of missed the story. They were fighting. They were just fighting on the other side. They were not fighting with you. They were fighting against you. And that's precisely why we left. They fought for 20 fucking years, against an occupying force. I think most Pashtuns in Afghanistan don't necessarily support the ideologies of the Taliban, which are composed of mostly Pashtun, but if it means ethnic tribal dominance in Afghanistan, they're willing to take it.
It's the biggest problem right now is that the people that are trying to get out, it's not specific to people that work with the military or people that were interpreters. It's not just any one subset. It's everyone. Everyone in the country is looking for a way out, some way or another. I'm getting calls from high military officials asking if I know anybody that they can talk to.
They're calling you.
Calling me, asking if I have some contacts at some embassy or something that they don't know about. I'm getting calls from all of the people we worked with looking for any way out. And there's really no answer. So now, we're living in this world where there's not a real thought going into what's going to happen with the Afghan people.
Well, thank you, Ben. Glad to see you're back safe. And there's so much more to talk about and to see from your reporting. So thanks.
I love that someone in the chat said everyone's trying to get out, including the Taliban. Why the fuck would the Taliban try to get out, dude? They run